At the speed of cinema, Sly goes back to his party. Jethro and Kaz come out. The rest of you follow at some point behind. Do we meet back up in the school bus, like getting up in the tour bus of a band, or...
I think so.
Yeah, let's cut inside. Maybe Jethro and Kaz are already here, and the other three of you, like, walk in the big steps into the back of the chariot.
I'm telling you, Dorian, we already got all the pieces of the goddamn bike. Now lay off, all right? We'll put it back together.
No, you know what? No. At this point, it's not even about the fucking bike itself, man, okay? It's that we agreed to help him out in this fucking tilt game, and then he's not even gonna, keep us abreast of what's the fuck going on.
Hey.
Well, when'd you guys get here?
Listen, you're just mad because it was a bad play. He played the game poorly. Shit happens. You agreed to fucking play the game.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a good time. It's just, it's fucking stupid.
Sometimes your quarterback sucks. That's just how the game is.
Yeah.
Which one of you assholes decided to pull that lever off of that machine?
I think both of us look at Bubba.
Bubba throws the lever into the floor. That would be this guy. I thought I was helping you guys out.
You did win me 6 million chips.
Well, then I guess we'll call it even.
Sounds good to me.
Did you guys get the information? I mean, it sounded like you guys were talking a lot, but...
Yeah, we got something.
We certainly did. It was a good operation, everybody. I think we should all feel really good about that.
Well, it's not over yet.
We're gonna need some winter coats.
What do you mean? Who's the guy?
We gotta go...
They have this new... Yeah, Despoblado. But we gotta get down there. Kaz is just sitting there with his case on his lap, like feeling the fur and like very happy, like ecstasy, just playing with it.
I guess I wouldn't even know what winter is, though.
It's the cold side, right?
Yeah, but there's no winter and fall and summer.
They might call it winter side. They
Just
might
like
call it
cold-
summer side.
Cold weather.
There's so much media. I doubt you destroy in 300 years the culture of like...
Seasons.
Yeah, and like they still call it, hey, tomorrow, even though it's just a 24-hour cycle.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even if it's cold, like you'd still like you just call it winter. Maybe that's even like part of the joke on the planet of like, oh, winter and summer. Like it doesn't ever change, but it's winter over there.
I feel like you'd also just use it for like calendar sakes, right? Like it would still just designate a couple months.
You still have Christmas, right?
There's gotta be Christmas.
Yeah, there's
Never
gotta be
is
It's probably
Christmas.
Christmas 3 times a year.
Except it's called Christmas. They really upped the ante on it.
All right, so cold side.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Bubba and I just came back from there.
You know anything about hitch post rail?
Roll smarts, Bubba Dorian.
Boy, Bubba, I sure hope you were paying attention to the road signs.
Can all of us, or is it just
Keaton,
them?
you can roll -2.
-2, you fucking bastard.
My 4 blew up.
I got an 8, fucker.
Damn! Dorian got a 6.
Bubba?
I got a 10, but let's let Dorian do this. I feel like I've been rolling fucking kind of crazy tonight. So Dorian, take it away, dude.
Well, maybe you guys can just improv how you know all this information then. That's
Okay,
2
yeah.
raises among the lot of you. So on the cold side, in the El Despoblado, there's a bit of a legend, but it's more like it's a real thing, but how crazy it is kind of up for debate. There is apparently a very large convoy of storm chasers that never stops moving. A convoy of like 5 to 50 trucks that just moves across, never stopping, chasing storms to pick up the newly formed Nacrium deposits. Bubba and Dorian, even spending 2 years there, did not spend enough time for anyone to trust them enough to tell them where it actually was. It's like its own separate society that tries to keep outside of the affairs of Almanac and just runs in like a predetermined loop that only so many people are in the know of, that changes depending on who you talk to, depending on which month it is, depending on, you know, the time of day, depending on blah, blah, blah. Everybody has a reason for why it changes. But a lot of people would go there to buy and sell stuff. It was said that if you ever needed something on that side of the planet, that's the place you could go to buy it.
Damn. Well, I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do about that. I mean, those guys, they're always moving. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start in trying to get a hold of them.
Just a bunch of fucking nomads. I mean, we played a really good show for them
You did?
14 months ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you played a
Oh my
good show
God.
for
Yeah,
the
like
fucking
14 months
That is
ago.
for the
amazing.
goddamn Illuminati.
No,
Well, if you tracked them down, then we can do it again, right?
Dorian, I think you're mistaken. We played some for some town folks that happened to mention it, but
There's no way you
How is that
played
any
for the
different?
actual actual caravan.
How is that any different?
Oh my god.
If you've never seen the caravan and you don't know any of the people from it, what's the difference between me playing for them while they're on the road and me playing for them when they're stopped?
I'm just saying, man, you can't claim to have played for them if you have no idea whether you did or not.
Well, I just
Exactly.
did, so I think I can.
I'm sure some of them were at the show.
And I don't appreciate you saying that I didn't do some shit just because you didn't see it, Keaton.
Okay, buddy. Listen, you can die in this box all you fucking want.
No, it's just you fucking.
Yeah,
you don't know if I can fight.
And
you don't
I
know if I
jerked
can
off,
drive,
Jesus Christ.
You don't know if I can play. Like, what do you fucking think I do every day?
I think you sit in this fucking truck and you do nothing, because why the fuck would you do anything else?
All right, enough.
We've got the power of the Crow Brain Trust right now.
Yeah, so what are we gonna do?
There's nothing we can't find, right?
That's right.
It honestly makes perfect sense. If you need to get something, they're the one to talk to. Probably should have contacted them before.
That's tomorrow's problem, but we're still in a job today.
We also made a purchase.
We certainly did.
Oh, is that what the fuzz box is for?
Kaz like spins the case around and like opens it up dramatically to reveal the
Oh, shit.
I was hoping Bubba might be able to take a look at it.
I certainly will. How many of them were there? This is the only one? I assume.
No, there were a few. Yeah, there were 5 or 6. I didn't count.
What the?
Why didn't you count?
Because we were there to
This is like super important to know how many he had. You didn't count?
we were there to get one.
We'll send the enforcer unit in anyways.
Yeah, but what were you doing when they were walking around looking for us?
I was
Weren't you just standing over there?
I was maintaining myself as a diversion and being ready to dive in at a moment's notice. I had this gun almost loaded. I was ready to use one of their own people as a catalyst.
But he's not ready to dive in with the answer.
Bubba, I wouldn't have done that, but I was ready to do it.
Hey, I'm proud that you got one. Nicely.
I'm just happy that whole thing went off as smooth as it did. But like I said, we got a long way to go still. What are we going to do about Sly?
We'll call in the unit, right? The cleanup unit?
He's just
Bubba.
a buyer. We need to find the source.
I am the cleanup unit.
Well, we found him.
Really? What am I? Are you going to make me do this shit alone?
Keaton, that's a problem for another day. We
Yeah,
gotta find
don't
the,
worry.
the
Don't worry,
source of the edicts.
I can't leave this guy.
He's just a middleman.
He said he wasn't going to sell them. He said he was going to stop selling them. He wants to lay low a little bit because he heard Doza got,
They're not even branded.
Okay, but he still has edicts that he can sell to people. If we come back in a month, how many more has he sold that we're going to have to fucking track down?
It depends on how fast we find his source.
Bubba, realistically, how many places would it be possible to properly catalyze an unbranded edict?
Caleb, realistically, how many places would you be able to catalyze an edict?
Well, he did send you with, he said this in character, and then I just forgot to describe it on your way out. I think in the room with you, there's almost like one of those ultrasound machines they pull up. He sent you one of those, this machine that you can hook up to the gun and hook up to the catalyst you're branding to make the process work. That being said,
It needs a power source, yeah?
yeah, I would say, Bubba, it takes a big chunk of change. Kaz, you made that smarts roll earlier.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of just power wagons sitting around. You imagine if you took a full power wagon, that might be enough power to almost do it. So yeah, the main hard process is making it, but branding someone, you can do it with a lot of power banks and I guess one of these machines, which we'll get to in a second. But outside of the Crow Tower, without their expertise and their perfect mixture of drugs and their strict selection process for people, it's not going to be a good branding. Bubba, I would say this machine, if you open it up, you take off the plastic clamshell, its configuration is different, but all of the parts are here. This is not somebody taking a picture and making a replica. This is someone that has the schematics to your machines.
Well, realistically, it wouldn't be too hard to brand someone. The most difficult part is making the goddamn thing. And with just a cursory kind of glance, it looks almost suspiciously good. This could be a bigger problem than we imagine. Much bigger.
This is pretty much what we thought, right? And somebody knows exactly our process.
You said you took Mad Dog out, so if it's not him, it's got to be this Hitchpost gang.
Well, who the fuck knows? Maybe both of them got their information from a third party.
Mad Dog had one of our former employees working for him. Man by the name of Owen. My guess is it's another situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. If they had him working over there, maybe they didn't get it from a third party. But still, I mean, the reason stands. There could be somebody out there who knows this thing inside and out.
Here's the weird thing, Keaton. I requested a list of employees that had been recently terminated or quit, and it was denied.
What do you mean it was denied?
That means my dad didn't want me to have that information.
Man, that's so fucked up. How the hell are we supposed to do this goddamn job if he's not even helping us?
I mean, the part that I was more concerned with is why would they be hiding that information from us?
Exactly. It absolutely has to do with the same reason he won't fucking sell to anybody.
Either way, at least we've got a lead now.
Fuck, man, maybe your dad's behind all this shit. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Wouldn't be that crazy.
Do you think he's trying to get out of the business?
It's a hell of a way to do it.
You could just fucking quit and give it to somebody else.
Does that really sound like our dad?
I don't know, man. Your dad doesn't make any fucking sense to me. No, I mean, all he fucking does is protect this shit, and that's why he stopped selling, is he's so fucking worried about it.
Maybe somebody's got something on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. He's always kept his nose clean.
Well, your dad made sure his nose was clean. I don't know that he kept.
He certainly did.
But sure, I get what you're meaning.
Dad doesn't do that kind of thing.
Oh, come off it, Kaz. What are you talking about?
He doesn't.
What? No, Dad's a piece of shit. How do you think he got this high up? How do you think we're doing so well?
Your dad's an asshole. I don't think he's a piece of shit.
Well,
all right. Opinions are what they are.
I don't even know that he's an asshole, but he's just
Tomatoes.
he's just hard to read.
Either way, you guys are really gonna make me fucking whack this guy by myself?
No. Don't do it.
No.
We don't got time for that right now, Keith.
He's fucking messing with you,
I can't
man.
just fucking leave him with all these edicts.
We're gonna leave him with all the
Okay, well,
edicts.
if you're the guy, then I guess, are we doing it, or are we gonna take care of this and then come back? What do you want?
I do not want to do this right now.
We're not doing it right now.
We cut off the source, then we'll clean up the rest.
Exactly. They're sure as shit ain't making them here, and that's the important part.
If we drop the hammer on him, do you think that whoever is selling to him is not going to put 2 and 2 together, that their two main sellers, Doza and then Sly, both just get killed within a week of each other? They're going to know someone's coming for them. If anything,
Shit, that's a fair point.
if anything, we should be trying to open up more sales channels for them now.
Claudius is not going to be happy with you. I know you know this.
I know, yeah.
But he's going to be pissed at you.
Keaton, if the boat's sinking, do you keep paling out water or do you plug the hole?
He looks up at you with just a look that says both you're right and also I'm going to get in so much fucking trouble for this.
What are they going to do, fire you?
You're fucking right. Well, at least somebody in this room actually has some consequences for his actions. But you're right. I fucking hate to say it. I'm still going to get fucking yelled at. Who fucking knows what's going to happen, but...
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I've got your back.
Yeah, I fucking hope so.
I'll talk to your dad if I have to.
Good luck with that, bud.
What? Bubba and I can totally fight your dad.
What?
Easy.
No,
fighting
he would
her.
kick
Fight
your
my
ass.
dad. I'll fist fight Tex.
No, we keep him out of the courtroom
in the
and take him
lobby
easy.
of Crow Tower.
Keaton starts to smile and all right. Well, if it gets into a fist fight, I'll go first.
He would still kick all of your asses.
Oh, well, he's definitely going to be mad at you about that, though.
Well, are we fighting both of the dads or are we just fighting my dad?
I mean, fuck it. I'm down. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tag team cage match.
We could tag team this shit.
Hold on. I am not comfortable talking about assassinating our fathers.
We're not
talking about
nobody's
fighting.
killing
You
anybody.
You use that
Yeah,
word.
what the
You're putting
hell?
that out
We're
there.
fucking
What the
having a
fuck,
fist
guys?
fight. We were having a friendly bout.
Let's go see if
Yeah.
Let's go see if Keaton's car is stolen or not.
Oh, it's fucking not there, guaranteed.
What are you guys doing about Felix? You leaving him here?
Fucking right.
Oh shit. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go looking for him if Kaz wants to come with me.
Yeah, let me just call him.
We don't want to piss him off because then he might start spilling some beans.
Why don't you just make a persuasion roll for me?
Yeah.
Posed by his spirit.
Yeah, I'd like to convince him that, like, we'd be happy to do it, but he really, really should ride with somebody else, Like,
Yeah, I think the stakes for this are he's not coming with either way, but it's kind of suspicious you just showed up and are leaving.
got it. Yeah.
So that's what it's for.
Didn't we stay for the whole thing?
For the race, but there's an after party. A lot of people are going to sleep here. It's like you stayed for 3 hours and you're leaving. You know what I mean? You drove a day to stay 3 hours.
Could I argue for a +1 or 2, and he could make the angle that Keaton's being pissy because his car's left somewhere on the road?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll give you a +2 because Felix already rolled a 12 over here. So
Ooh.
good luck, buddy.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
with a +2, I'm at a 7, so I'm going to Benny.
Yeah.
That's a 5 with I got a Benny again.
Benny it.
Makes sense.
Last one, baby. Go for it. You're gonna blow this shit up.
No,
No, he
he
did
does
not
not.
blow
That's
this
a-
shit up.
That's
Nope.
a 10.
Damn.
Oh, you got
Not
close.
bad.
Okay, so he knows something's up, but doesn't know what it is, but he doesn't need a ride.
He knows something's up. He'll be suspicious for the future, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just get a shot of like you talking on the phone while everybody's arguing in the background, and
Yeah.
then we cut to Felix. He smiles on the phone, and then he hangs it up, kind of cocks his head to a side, thinks, and then like shakes his head, pockets his phone, and goes back to the party. The last thing that happens, you're getting ready to leave. There's a knock at the school bus on wheels door, the Chariot's door.
Yeah, open the door.
There's like an old mechanic-looking guy.
Hey, is Decker here?
Yeah.
This is Awesome Jackson felt bad about Decker's bike, so
And he just pulls up like a Fox bike.
so it's a gift. Anyway, see ya.
And he just leaves the bike.
Hey, thank you. Hell yeah.
Hey, who was that?
Somebody brought you a bike to replace the one you were bitching about.
That is a classy gesture.
They brought me a bike.
Yeah, I'm actually super surprised. It looks pretty good too, man.
Well, you riding in here or out there?
Dorian looks suspicious. And he sort of gets up from his seated position and he'll walk over to the door and then
Been playing the Deadlands too long.
take a squinty eye at this gifted Fox bike. Clearly, it's not to his flavor, paint job wise. But like, does it look sturdy? Does it look at least decent?
I'll tell you, it's not booby trapped in any way. It's just a bike.
Yeah. Marshall's not concerned that there's. I'm not concerned that there's booby traps. I know Dorian's got, he's got expensive taste. He spent a lot of money on his bike, but if this looks like a decent frame that Bubba can work on better than from scratch trying to pull pieces together, well, yeah, all right. Well, it is something to work with. At least shave off a few days for Bubba. Yeah, I'll bring it on in. I don't know that I want to take it for a ride right now.
Okay.
If you peek out the door, you just see that mechanic like drinking from a flask walking back to the building.
If he doesn't want to ride it in, I'll ride it up into the chariot.
We see Bubba sitting in the driver's seat, pushing a bunch of, levers, doing some dials, What kind of music you put on? What kind of music you put on?
It's just some heavy bass.
It's some solo stuff from Falcon. He's this guy. He's a part of this boy band. It's pretty famous. Falcon's pretty good. He's kind of branched off and doing his own thing now.
Falcon was dope.
Honestly, I'd probably let Dorian pick the music.
Dorian would set that up. Yeah, he knows what Bubba likes. And you were the victor, so it's his own little gift to you. He knows he'll put on a playlist of some of our favorite drum and bass stuff.
All right, hell yeah.
The bass plays as we take off the chariot riding towards sunset. Well,
sun
sun
always.
Riding towards the horizon.
Open on the main office of law, the courthouse in Trin City, in the Terminator zone of the planet Almanac. Austin, do you think this building is reminiscent of current United States courthouses? Is it drawing on this sort of Roman Greek thing that our government likes to do? Or is there another unifying aesthetic that they pulled together for it?
In my head, I imagine a much more toned down version of the Senate chamber in Star Wars.
Ooh.
Still a bit of that like Greek and Roman-esque, long hallways, big carpets, that sort of thing, but a more round or dome-like with lots of little boxes and like a floor from the center that you could deliver your arguments up towards observers and those participating in a trial.
I like the idea of like a mushroom-shaped building, like the dome on top and then the like regal round building underneath. Maybe it's built on top of one of the wind tunnels that runs through just under the surface of Almanac, creating almost a wind barrier against the storms that would come after it. A more passive solution than the other more aggressive precautions that corporate buildings take to protect themselves against storms and such. I think maybe we find you researching case law. Whatever you're researching right now is the thing that Claudius is most worried about legally. The boys have just left to the Sun River. I think we find you with stacks of papers, plenty of different computers and tablets open. I'm imagining that super famous library, like that aesthetic from Ghostbusters with all the little lamps on the tables, big ceilings. Probably no one else here with you currently. What are you researching? What are you most worried about?
I think it's been divided into two pretty distinct piles. One is what happens as licenses pass from family to family. Claudius is nothing if not cautious or overly planning. Have a plan for everything. So he's looking into what happens when you move licenses around, or how you could franchise those, how you could protect the investments you've already made if your license goes away, that sort of thing. And I think the other thing that he's looking at, which is probably a far smaller pile or fewer documents, is what the responsibilities of an arbiter are and how far their powers extend. And then from there, too, what sorts of things have gotten arbiters in trouble in the past? And how has that turned out for them?
Ooh.
What if they violate licenses? What if they are doing things that they shouldn't be doing?
Ooh, I like that. What did we decide for like law skills in this setting?
For actually talking in a courtroom, that we would use persuasion or intimidation or something similar. And then I think we said research for anything else that was external to that.
Research does make a lot of sense. So let's have you make a research roll. 2, actually. Let's start with the one for licenses.
2 and a 6 on the wild die, so if the 6 blows up, 5, so an 11.
Dang. Well, do you have something more specifically, or do you just want me to answer with the most relevant stuff?
I think one of the things he certainly wants to know is, are we obligated, or how far do our obligations go to transfer the process? So if someone else buys the license, that's great, but do they know how to make one of these guns? Do they get to know the process? What are we indebted to under the license to pass on?
So both corporate families would have an obligation to ensure that consumers could actively consume. For your family's part, you would have to sell everything to the new family. The price for that, there's a lot of precedent and case law that helps determine that. There's always a bit of arguing. Mostly it comes down to a settlement. The arbiter can weigh in on that. So sometimes people have gotten screwed because the arbiter didn't like them very much. But there's so much precedent at this point for transference of licenses. You kind of just have to sell it all at market value to the new family. I guess with the knowledge part of it, for the most part, all your employees would transfer. Some people, when they buy licenses, I think this happened with the public transportation sector at some point, where when it sold, they said, no, fuck it, we're just going to rebuild the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And they tore a lot of it down. But for the most part, you kind of just transfer everything. Like you would have to potentially, like if everything was built so hard into Crow Tower, you might even be forced to like sell that tower itself. And for the company that's buying it, as a part of the bidding process during when a license is up for auction, it's their responsibility to prove to the arbiter that they're capable of continuing a service to all consumers that can afford it. Essentially, they have to continue a certain standard of service that the old industry did. And there's been plenty of times in the past where the new owners haven't been able to accomplish that, and either it's reverted or it's gone up for auction again. In the first case, the original company was allowed to buy it back for the same price. You know, it's like just sort of like a return. And then the other case, it went up for auction again, which really screwed the industry up, because then it's kind of like when the U.S., not to be really NA-centric, but it's like every time the budget goes up for debate, right? You know, that thing that happens where it's like, well, they haven't agreed on a budget for the new year and everything sort of comes to a grinding halt.
Sure.
Nobody likes that. And if it's in a sector that a lot of people care about, it's even worse. But with edicts, you might be kind of screwed, actually, because there's not a huge need for them. It's not something as basic as public transportation. It's a pretty niche item that happens to make a lot of money. And so the obligations to prove that they can make it available are really small. And actually researching it with your role, I would say maybe Tex has screwed you a little bit, because you haven't been providing maybe the basic standard of service for the last year that should be required by law.
Yep.
So yeah, you have to sell it off as much as possible.
I think what's going through Claudius's head is that conversation that he had with Tex, that everything's going to be fine in 6 months, and he mentions these names and mentions all sorts of other things. And what's in Claudius's head is, even if we don't keep the license, how do we, in essence, fuck over whoever does buy it the most? Can we make it impossible for them to do it without us? Can we make it so that even if we don't own the license, they have to franchise us somehow to produce them? And of course, if they do that, well, then they have to keep us all on, and we can charge what we want to do that, and we'll make less than what we were making, but we still won't be out on our ass.
You have an interesting advantage there. Your lower level employees, the people that are like running your lobby, right? The guy Keaton and Vivian killed a few episodes ago.
Hang on, you have to be more specific when you say the guy Keaton killed.
They're murder friends now. It's a solid foundation for friendship.
Those sorts of corporate employees are both housed and work for the Crows, and the way that their contracts are written up is pretty stringent. And if someone bought your license, you would be forced to transfer anyone that was essential to manufacturing edicts along with that. However, the advantage you have is everyone that can make an edict is a highly paid, highly sought after, world-renowned engineer.
Yep.
Everyone there is making 6 figures, and all of them are incredibly knowledgeable, intelligent individuals. And none of them would be forced to go along with the switch. They would be able to find jobs elsewhere, but the new family that takes it over would either have to put a lot of money into keeping them, or if you do some stuff behind the scenes, potentially they won't have any engineers to do it, and they'd have to start from the ground up. And if they couldn't prove that they can manufacture edicts soon enough, you might be able to get it back. Or like you said, they would have to license you and your engineers.
Great. I love it.
How that works is you can just you can sell your license to anyone you want under whatever conditions you want. The Duke family is the biggest example of that, where they don't even harvest power. They don't really run transformers. They just hire it all out. People pay them. They're like FedEx. You pay FedEx some money. They're like fucking McDonald's. They're literally a franchise. You pay them some money, they let you do a thing. And as long as the standards don't fall too low, no one comes after them. They make money, and it's a very low risk to them.
Yeah, I think what's in Claudius's head is, if we get acquired, there's still ways to get around that. And I think he's just trying to prepare for that eventuality, with Tex being the way that he is, and there haven't been enough guns sold. He's worried about that possibility coming up very soon.
So we see Claudius. I mean, this is hours and hours, and I've gotten a little bit into law recently, just as like a hobbyist thing, reading papers and stuff, and a lot of it's really boring, right? And then you get to these little sections that are super, super interesting, and it's more readable than you think. Of course, it's readable to Claudius, but it still is just combing through documents and documents and documents. You probably have some assisted computer stuff to help you search stuff and shit, but it's still just a lot of reading. As you get to the end of that, there's a shot of Claudius sitting back and then just looking to the papers on his left. a sigh, and then a close-up shot of a coffee pot getting filled, pulled off, poured into a cup, and then we cut to Claudius moving through another stack of papers. So make the research roll for the Arbiter.
A 4 and a 5. I think I'm going to spend a Benny on that because I really, really would like to know this. So I imagine him looking in and thinking about this, and it's getting late, and there's just an empty coffee pot now and an empty coffee cup, sweltering in this suit, but refuses to take it off. Like he's just soaked through the shirt underneath. He's late, only lit by the computer screens at this point. Okay, I got a 2 and a 6 and a 1, so a 7.
A 7, dang, not quite a raise. You happy with it? I mean, I'd let you Benny again over a research roll, but I don't know if you really want to.
No, clearly it's not meant to happen yet.
Well, just ask me one question then, instead of this vault of research you got over the licenses.
Austin has to ask Caleb a question.
Yes.
I know, because I know how stories work and how Caleb's head works, that this fucking gun that he's carrying around is an edict. You've described it every time. I've made a note of it every time. I know it.
Do you want to do that?
I don't know. I don't know whether that's something that I can be like, drop the hint and be like, well, what happens if an arbiter violates a license? And maybe that's all he wants to know, but I don't know if that's way too metagamey. Like, I don't know how I feel about that at all. So
there's a bunch of useful information you could get, and if the information you want is what is his gun, like that's reasonable. Like
I don't even know about whether I want to know what is his gun. It's what happens when he like that's not one of our guns. He's violated the license. So what happens when he does that? Can I go shoot him? That's what we can do to everybody else. Can I send Keaton out with the fucking sniper rifle and put a bullet in his head? I don't know whether I'm allowed to do that.
Sure.
But that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. Is that the question you want to ask? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think what I want to know, or what Claudius wants to know, is how do you, if needed, get rid of an arbiter? And what happens if they violate licenses, or you can prove that they've broken the law in some way that's related to your own license or anyone else's? Is how do you then get rid of that arbiter?
So much like the US law system, there's a overarching group of arbiters that oversee the lower level arbiters. So there's plenty of just decisions that arbiters make that you can have appealed and put them up to, more people to review the case. It doesn't necessarily go to trial again normally, or arbitration in the case of Almanac. Normally they just review the entire case, review transcripts, and then either confirm or reject the arbiter's position. There are plenty of ways to get rid of the sort of lower level arbiters that Felix is. Most of them, the regions they control, aren't that important, but Trin City is kind of the biggest thing on the planet,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he just gets to have a lot of power for what it is. You could, with a strong enough majority, just call for a new election with enough of the corporations to help you out with that. That's how it normally happens, I think. They switch fairly often, They don't stick around for 10 years. They stick around for like 3 or something. If you can catch them violating a license, that would be up for that higher group of arbiters to essentially the same thing you would do to anyone else that is violating a license. But in the case of an arbiter, it's much more serious, and they would probably be immediately removed from their position.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, you would have to be able to prove it. In a lot of cases, arbiters are granted a lot of leniency from the people overseeing them, kind of in direct opposition to what that council above them is supposed to do. Let's see, can you think of any other fun, underhanded ways that you could get him out of there?
I mean, I can think of a lot of crappy things you could do, like claim that we got him elected and that we should have to pay a fine. Surely he can't make fair decisions based on that, or that he's violated someone else's license and can't be trusted to enforce the rules if he's not above them. I think it all must revolve around conflicts of interest. And if you can prove, which might be hard, but if you could prove that he wasn't able to make a neutral decision or remove his ego or personal involvement with the case, then that's unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe the law is that you have to prove that they have made that decision.
Sure. And whether that gets enforced or not, who knows? Because this is the way that we do business. But if you could prove it, that would be something different.
If you go high enough, you can get into arbiters off-world, which for the most part don't have as many allegiances. The Crow family exists across multiple colonies, and a couple other of the families do as well. But for the most part, if you can get it up high enough, it's kind of free of bias as much as it can be.
Sure.
Just generally with a sense of annoyance that they have to deal with a problem that should have been dealt with on the planet.
That makes sense.
Well, knee-deep into these papers, with a drained cup of coffee and long since past your imagined bedtime, Pearl Hansen enters these law offices, walking towards you. How much should we say about Pearl right now, you think, Austin?
I'm not sure. She's a longtime partner of the company, maybe more of a friend, which is not something Claudius is very comfortable saying or has too many of. Definitely someone that his wife knew more than he did and has come to respect her over a lot of business dealings. Some of them well above board and some of them maybe not so much.
What age is Claudius?
Somewhere between 45 and 55. That end of middle age, gray in his hair, that sort of thing.
Pearl looks determined. She has a hairstyle that she has not changed in 30 years. She's probably in her late 40s, but she still has a sense of style. Wears very finely tailored clothes that fit her perfectly. Very little jewelry, red lipstick, I imagine, and strong eyeshadow. Kind of a bleach blonde. She's wearing slacks and then a blazer with like really big shoulder pads, like they stick out almost past her arms, come down into not quite a plunging V, but like halfway between that and like a deep V. No shirt underneath, or if there is one, it's hidden within the jacket. Gold buttons, and then she's wearing two bright blue or like kind of watery blue pleather gloves. And then on her right hand, she's wearing this gold bracelet that might be some sort of tech. To most people, it might just read as a bracelet, but I think to Claudius, it would read as tech of some kind. The click-clack of her heels echoes through these large chambers as she approaches, wordlessly comes behind you and just starts picking through some of the papers you're looking at.
I think as she's getting closer, he's maybe startled for a second, pulls a handkerchief from the breast pocket, wipes the brow, tries to run a hand through the hair, at least look presentable, rub the bags out from underneath his eyes for a second. Button the jacket back up, adjust the sleeves, and then make it look like he didn't try at all. And he's just been perfectly sitting there as she comes up.
Well, you've had a long night by the look of it.
Well, it's exhausting. You know how it is when you're knee-deep in someone else's shit.
I do, unfortunately, know quite a bit about that currently. We're going to talk about my son, Owen.
That would make sense. He got up to some interesting activities, is my understanding.
I just want you to know I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't set him on that path. He's never helped with manufacturing as far as I know, outside of his internship. He's been missing for a few weeks and I didn't think to mention it. I guess now I should have. How upset is your brother?
Well, Tex almost shot him on the floor of the tower, if that gives you any idea, but that's his normal response to anything.
Stars. Well, a lot of the times when you see this woman, Pearl Hansen, she seems a lot more composed. Like anytime, it's the same thing Claudius has, right? She's wearing a mask most of the time. Currently, it seems like that's down. She sits down on the table next to you, rubbing the bridge of her nose with her eyes closed. Well, has anyone interrogated him yet?
We've asked perfunctory questions, but I don't think anyone knows any further involvement that he might have had. We've held that off for the moment.
Well, if I can ask a favor, I would like you to be there for that. Any sort of spin we can give to him being caught up in the wrong crowd, which, honestly, for once might actually be the truth, might be helpful. I mean, we were the same at his age, weren't we?
Well, I'm not sure what I was like at any of those ages, but I don't think what I would have done is gone out into the desert and fell in with the wrong crowd and killed many, many people. I would have done that from here. And he smiled, just a little smile, and that mask falls for like half a second. And he kind of takes her hand, doesn't know what to do with it, pats it, sets it back, stands up. Like he doesn't really know what he's supposed to be doing right now.
I think she just sits in silence, nods her head for a little bit, and then pats you on the shoulder and says, "Get some sleep," and starts leaving.
Pearl, I will be there when they talk to him. I promise. And if the worst has to happen, I'll let you know first. I think that's probably the best I can offer in this limited set of circumstances. I know what it's like.
I won't hold it against you, Claudius, if that's what you're worried about, but please at least let me put him in my slate. Otherwise, well, I guess we'll have to see.
Really? I would hold it against me for the rest of my life.
I guess that's why you're not in the trenches with me, then.
I never had the stomach for it, Pearl, like you did. And I'll do what I can on his slate. I know what it's like when a child does something that you don't approve of and they should have known better. I know it more than most, and I know what it's like to lose a son.
I think she sits back down for a moment and sits there in poignant silence for a moment before nodding her head, standing up, rubbing her gloved hands together, and walking out.
I'll tell Felina you said hi, Pearl.
She just waves a couple of fingers over her shoulder. Where to start? Thank you for listening to Terminus. We're going to be at Genghis Con in February. I believe it's February 23rd through the 26th of 2023. Me and a lot of the Crow Boys will be there. If you want to join us, feel free. We'd love to get together and play some games at some point. I plan to run a couple games. I'm running out of time to say that on the Genghis Con website, but once I get that figured out, you'll be the first to hear it here, and hopefully I can tell you the exact dates and times at which I'll be running games so you can sign up for those first, hopefully, if you're coming. We've had a lot of fun with Genghis Con. Every year we've gone, it's been great. We end up just hanging out and playing games most of the time. If a ton of you show up, that probably won't be the case, but I'm going to be honest, if you show up for Genghis Con, we will get some board game time in with you, because not that many of you are going to take us up on this offer. So hope to see you at Genghis Con. But moving on, thanks to all my cast this week. Thanks to my brother Isaac Sunstead, who plays Kaz Crow. Thank you to Cameron Reed, who plays Keaton Crow. Thank you to Alex Horrell, who plays Jethro. Dorian is played by Marshall Sims. Bubba is played by Cameron Day. Austin Holt was on this week playing Claudius Crow. But thank you most of all to all of our patrons. We got a few new ones. Thanks to our patrons. Niles McDonald, great name. Devin Mangwasser, great name, although I'm sure that's undercut by me saying Niles was a great name. Maybe I'm not creative enough, or maybe, you need to stop overthinking it, Devin. Okay, maybe you need to come together. The two of you, Devin, Niles, you joined at the same time. Okay, you're one and the same. You're two people come together in this beautiful journey on this rock hurtling through the cosmos, this dead cosmos. Anyway, think about it. Jeremy Dunlap, thank you. Ezra, thank you. Kirby, thank you. Ariel Weiss, thanks. Greg Gray, always great to see your name on here, buddy. Thanks to Randy McCourt. One day I'll play Hunt Showdown again, Randy. One day. Thanks to James Wright. Thanks to Ethan Cooper and Ataziel. Music on the show was provided by myself or William Ecker. You can find his work at musicdirector.bandcamp.com. Savage Worlds is owned by the Pinnacle Entertainment Group. What else? Thank you for listening. We will see you next week.